This is going to be about my experience with burnout, most recently, what I did to address it, and what research says about the way to make sure we're ensuring our happiest life. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie Yates Anya, Steph Anya for short, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Today, I'm going to be talking about the signs of burnout and how to deal with burnout. If you're curious, stay tuned. Okay guys, so I try to do a video like this at least once a year because I think becoming burnt out is inevitable, especially when you are working in a helping profession like therapy. But I have three main roles that I look at my life broken out into. I've got being a therapist, being a content creator, and then my personal life. And it's when I get overwhelmed really in all three areas when I really have to take a step back, look at what's happening, and try to adjust and shift myself in a way where I can be taking better care of myself. I'm going to talk with you guys a little bit about the main signs of burnout for me and across the board when I'm talking with my clients. So number one is an overwhelming sense of irritation. I get to the point where, let's talk about content creation. I'm thinking about a new season of this show is about to come out and now I'm going to have to break it down, right? And I'm getting irritated. That's a sign of burnout. And work, if I'm thinking about, I have so many clients today, where you're thinking about specific clients that you're a little nervous about seeing. And in my personal life, if I'm getting really short, especially with my husband, because I'm with him 24/7, those are things that let me know that I'm probably getting to the point of burnout. Other things that really show me that I am getting to the point of being burnt out is my sleep. So as I've talked about on this channel many times before, my sleep can be kind of precarious. So there are times where I have amazing sleep and that's an extended period of time. And then there are lots of times where it takes me hours to fall asleep and my mind is just going and going. I can tell I'm burnt out when I start having consecutive nights of not being able to sleep, especially for a week or more. If I'm going to bed and I'm like, I forgot to send this email. What am I going to say in this video tomorrow? Did I ever finish the note from that client? And those things are affecting my sleep. That lets me know I probably have too much on my plate, because what is that telling me? I haven't even made the time to write down everything that I have to do, which is why I'm sitting there thinking about everything I could possibly be forgetting. And B, it's letting me know that I probably have way more on my to-do list than is possible to manage in a single day. I'm going to share some tips a little bit later on about how to deal with being in that position. The last thing that I think about when it comes to signs that I'm becoming burnt out is when I get to the point where my relationship with food is really bad. And what I mean is that I start getting to a point where I'm relying on snacking and meals as my only source of happiness or joy throughout the day. I know that sounds really sad, very morbid, but if we're honest, a lot of times we turn to food to address issues that we're having within our body. And so this actually brings me to one of the first tips, is getting your labs done. For the first time in a while, got my labs done by my doctor, and it actually opened my eyes to the fact that I have very high glucose numbers, as well as my hemoglobin A1C. What does that mean? It actually helped us realize that I meet a lot of the qualifications for PCOS. This is not a video about PCOS, but that has been a game changer for me, knowing that, because it completely reshaped the way that I approach food, and it makes me eat in a way that helps sustain better sleep, gives me more energy, makes it easier for me to avoid sugar cravings that make me end up crashing. And so that's my number one thing, is go to a professional, go to a doctor, get someone who can give you labs and give you an idea about how your body is doing. Because when I get burnt out, physiologically, I'm affected. And when I'm talking with my clients and they start talking to me about the same things, that they're tired, that they're overeating, that they're really irritable, one of the first things I'll ask them is, when is the last time you got a physical? Because there may be something physically happening that is affecting your ability to cope with stress. My next tip is to ensure that you're getting enough exercise. And here I want to thank our sponsor today, which is Copilot. Copilot is a platform that is an app where you have access to a live coach so that you can collaborate with them on what your personal fitness goals are. My favorite thing about Copilot is they really want to know, what are your goals? My goals were really hormonal when I first started out with Copilot, and I have seen a major difference with my PCOS. I've been been using them now for over a year and a half consistently. I'm really proud of my streak. And the thing about Copilot is that whatever you're looking to work on, whether it's your mental health, whether it's your physical health, if you are wanting to lose weight, if you're wanting to build strength, they can customize a plan for you. You can just tell them what equipment you have and they will make a plan based around that equipment. I've even sent an entire video to my coach with what my gym looks like so that she can make sure that the exercises I'm doing are all in the same area of the gym. And sometimes I want to work out from home and she has workouts that can go either way. So Copilot has been amazing for me, not just with exercise, but with other habits that I like to build. There have been times where I've used it to track my reading so that I can be reading each day, or times where I'll use it to track the types of foods that I'm eating. For example, if I want to make sure that I'm getting a vegetable in each meal, I can put that as a habit that I'm tracking. Or even relational health, right? If I want to make sure that I'm calling or speaking with certain people regularly, Copilot can make that a habit for me to check off. I'm the type of person that really does well with checking things off and having someone to hold me accountable. On a day that I might miss my workout, my coach reaches out to me and is like, hey, is everything okay? So that personal touch and being able to get that immediate feedback has been vital. This is honestly the most consistent that I've ever been with exercise. You use your Apple Watch and they can see what your heart rate looks like during your workouts. They can even give you direct feedback when your form is incorrect. I have a real person that I can talk to about whatever my goals are at that time. If you're interested in trying Copilot for yourself, you can either use the link that I have in my description box or use the code that's here on the screen. And now we'll get back to the video. Now, another thing I have to talk about here, you cannot talk about self-care, you cannot talk about addressing burnout without talking about boundaries. And especially around the holidays, I recognize that you have to be even more aware of where you need to draw lines and boundaries. I think with the holidays, we often think we have to see our entire family or all friends that are in town. There's this pressure that you have to meet up with everyone. But if you're already feeling burnt out and you don't really have the social energy to engage with people, you have to be able to say, I'm not feeling great or I'm not doing great. I'll have to catch you next time. And that is just the truth, right? You're feeling burnt out and overwhelmed. And so that is something that I've been incorporating a lot more, is asking myself, does the idea of this event make me excited? Am I looking forward to it or am I dreading it? And how do I feel about seeing a certain person or group of people? Do I feel that I belong in that community or am I working hard to try to make myself fit in? Those are important conversations that you have to have with yourself when you're assessing spaces that are going to exacerbate your burnout, because our emotional and relational energy is something that definitely affects our ability to cope with daily stressors. So if you are talking to a draining person every day, for example, and then you've got all this work stress, you're more likely to have difficulty navigating that work stress because you're so overwhelmed relationally. When it comes to my work as a therapist, I feel the most burnt out when I have too many clients on my caseload. So sometimes that's having a conversation with clients who don't really need as regular therapy as they're currently in, right? So sometimes I have clients, lots of times I have clients who really are in a stage of maintenance. They're doing really well, but they want to still come in weekly because they just like being in therapy and talking. And sometimes it's a conversation of saying, why don't we test out every other week or maybe monthly and see how you do with that, just to see if you're able to maintain being in a good place with longer distance in between sessions. So sometimes I have to take the time to look at my schedule and assess which clients do I think would be a good fit for moving to less frequent sessions so that I can have a little bit more time in my calendar and they have time to see how much they've grown. And so as a therapist, that is one of the main ways that I address burnout. Also making sure I stay on top of my notes. I can tell when I'm burnt out when a lot of my work starts slipping and I'm getting emails like, you have notes that are 30 days past due. And I'm like so overwhelmed, can barely remember the session to make the note. So making sure that my notes are done really close to as soon as I finish my session helps me to not feel overwhelmed and just have this ongoing to-do list of things I need to be working on and getting to. And something else when it comes to the content creation burnout is that when I started my book club last year, I was just so excited. I'm used to books clubs having a book of the month. And so I started doing a book each month, and I recognized I was becoming overwhelmed because reading is actually a coping skill of mine. So when I'm overwhelmed, I like to read and lose myself in a story. And when I have obligatory reads for multiple book clubs, I feel this pressure. It's like being in school. Even if it's something I want to read, it doesn't feel the same when I have to read it. So one way that I address that is by changing my book club to meeting bi-monthly, so every other month instead of monthly. Our current book is The Perks of Being a Wallflower, by the way, if you want to read that book with us. We'll be meeting on December 12th at 7 p.m. But I think that recognizing that it's okay to pull back. You know, there are a lot of creators who are able to push out 3 videos a week. That's not me. I can't do that at this stage of life. And being accepting that I am at a place where I can try to produce a video once a week. You will miss out sometimes. You know, when I do Love is Blind videos, by the time I get to my last video, we're so far past when the season aired. And that's okay, because for me, the type of content I want to create the content based on the entire season. I think that's when I can give the most insight based on what ultimately happened with the couple. So even though I could probably get more views if I put out videos as the season is happening, and I have done that before and may do that again on certain seasons if it makes sense, if I don't think that that's where I can give the most insight and value, I will wait until the end of the season. So I think having the integrity with content creation, knowing your view, your perspective, the type of videos you want to put out, and knowing how often you realistically can put them out. I usually only talk about things from the therapist end, but I'm recognizing more and more that I have a lot of content creators who are subscribed to me. And so I thought it'd be helpful to share some advice for anyone who's also in that stage of content creation where you're starting to feel a little overwhelmed. I've finally learned the power of outsourcing. I can be a bit controlling when it comes to the creative process. I remember when I first started my YouTube channel, and it was my husband and I doing absolutely everything for the first 2 or 3 years on this channel. Absolutely everything. It wasn't until maybe the last 4 months that we opened ourselves up again to the possibility of an editor. We had an editor in the past, and I've become so overwhelmed with trying to give notes and feeling like the videos, we still were putting so much time into them that it wasn't worth the investment. We finally found editors that understand our style of editing. And so that has been a major way that I've been able to take something off my plate. And it has been worth the investment because I'm able to create more content and get content out more regularly than I used to. I mean, if you've been a follower on this channel for a long time, you know I could easily go 3 months without putting out any videos. So the fact that I've been putting out consistent videos now since August is actually a huge deal for me, because I typically have to take a break because I get so overwhelmed. When we're editing our videos, it ends up taking over our entire weekend, all of our evenings, and my husband has other projects he wants to work on as well. And so this has been a major key for us with content creation, is finding help where you can get it. Other ways that you can outsource help if you're not a content creator, just have a home, getting a housekeeper, looking up rates that make sense for you for someone to help clean your home, getting a meal kit service. That's been very helpful for us. Something I even did recently is I do my own hair for most of my videos. You know, I wear my hair big, I do it myself, but it does still take time. And recently I was like, you know what, let me go and pamper myself, get my hair washed, get it blow dried, you know, just get everything taken care of by a professional, get a trim, get eyes on my hair and make sure everything's healthy and is looking good. And that was a very, very positive experience for me. And sometimes you recognize things that you're paying for that you could not be paying for because maybe you feel good to save money. So for example, my nails. For 2 years, I started getting my nails done again. I hadn't been doing them in a while. And then I realized that, you know, for me, the time that it takes for me to get my nails done and the cost was actually starting to cause me more stress, because I'd be looking at my schedule. I'm like, I need to film, I need to see clients, I need to edit, I need to work out, I need to go through my emails, and I need to spend time with people I love. It can't all be work, right? But whenever I would get my nails done, I'd be at the salon for 2 hours. And so that cuts into my day. I mean, I remember trying to get my nails done. They're taking a long time and trying to rush back home so I can see a client. And so that was one thing that I decided to start doing myself because it takes me less time and I can multitask and do it. So sometimes it's finding people that you can outsource, and sometimes it's recognizing the things that'll be quicker if you do it on your own. It's also something I enjoy, and when I invest so much money in getting my nails done, I feel like I have to keep those nails on for a month, whereas I personally like the variety. And so when I do it myself and it's so much cheaper, I can change them every week to 2 weeks, whatever works for me. And so that's one thing that I've actually started doing myself that has contributed to me feeling less burnt out. Pampering, I'm always a big fan of pampering, but I don't always make time for it. So one thing I've been trying to incorporate a lot more of are massages. I also got a facial for the first time in years, and I definitely needed it. That inspired me to take better care of my skin. And I think that there is something to be said about when you look good, you feel good, because when I'm waking up and my skin is looking good, my hair is already done. First of all, it takes out a lot of time for me having to put on makeup to correct a lot of issues happening with my skin, or taking a lot of time to do my hair. It makes it so that I'm ready to go, presentable, excited about how I look, and can just start being productive. And so for me, that has been a big game changer as well. The physical self-care. Some goals that I have when it comes to managing my burnout, I'm going to try to start getting a little bit more into short form content, because I think that it will take a little bit less work and I can still get valuable information out. If you guys have ideas for short form content that you like from me, let me know. And as you saw last week, I took off the week of Thanksgiving. I'm going to try to get in the habit of not working for entire weeks whenever I have a vacation or whenever I have a holiday. We have so many times where we're leaving for a vacation and we're sitting there in the airport typing in a live premiere, or we're on vacation editing, putting a video out in a time zone where we're knocked out so we can make it for the time zone that everyone's accustomed to seeing the videos. And for me, that is just not sustainable, because I'm thinking about the comments, I'm thinking about any technical difficulties, any flags that may happen, and I'm not fully focused on the experiences with the people I love. And that's the last tip. I'm reading a book right now called The Good Life, which is a book that is exploring the findings from an 84-year study on happiness. And the thing that keeps coming across the board, across studies, across demographics, is the importance of relationships. Even though a lot of times we are pursuing status, we're pursuing more money, which is important when we are living in a state where we can't meet our basic needs. But beyond the basic needs, money, status, fame, those things don't really bring us lasting happiness, which is something that we know on an intellectual level, yet our drive does not display that knowledge, right? We are still working like horses to get things done, to meet certain deadlines so that we can feel a sense of accomplishment and status. And sometimes we have to be willing to just take the L, right? Okay, I'm going to have less views on this because I'm putting it out later. That's something I'm going to be willing to do so that I can have more time to focus on my mental health. And so relationships are so important. I am in a state of making sure that I'm getting weekly time with family members that I need to have those regular conversations and experiences with. I'm planning with friends. My friends and I love to spend time together, all together, and with our husbands. So we do like quadruple dates and things like that. Those things bring me joy because I get to be with my favorite people, my friends and my partner, and we're making incredible memories together. A lot of us are at the stage where we don't have kids yet, so we know that in the coming years, our lives are going to look very different. And so we're trying to make sure that we milk that and enjoy our time together. And so I want to emphasize for you the importance of relationships. Focus on relationships that make you feel good about yourself and your life. Relationships where you leave conversations feeling rejuvenated, happy, not those conversations where you are constantly thinking about what you should have said differently, how you could have acted differently, because that usually is going to be showing you some level of insecurity within that relationship, where even if it's not the other person's fault, the reality is you're not comfortable. This is not a relationship that you're comfortable and secure in. There may be nothing that they can do or nothing that you can do that can change that. that, but you can try to focus more time on the relationships that matter more to you. I do spend time with myself, mostly reading, but I do really value the time I spend with the people that I love and that love me in return. I make time. I just had a cousin who got married and I had a lot going on at the time, but that was so important to me. I'm going to make sure that I'm there for as much as I can be to support them as they are getting married. And so that was a very important thing for me to be a part of. Even though it's tempting sometimes to say we're too busy to be a part of things, if it's something for an important person that makes you feel good to be with that person, to be a part, try your best to make that a reality, because our relationships are the number one way that we can increase our happiness. Let me know in the comments below, what signs do you have that you are feeling burnt out? How do you know when you're reaching that point? It takes me a while sometimes to recognize that I'm burnt out, and I'm trying to get better at recognizing the signs. So let me know in the comments below what signs you recognize, and let me know what you do about it. How have you been able to successfully address burnout? How long does it take you to get to a point of feeling more at peace? For me, a video like this makes me feel better, because I know that even if it doesn't reach a lot of people, the people who do watch this through probably needed it. So I hope that this was something that was valuable for you. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with anybody that you think needs it. And thanks again to Copilot for sponsoring a portion of this video. Please be sure to check them out in the description box below. I really appreciate you for watching this video until the end. You didn't have to, but the fact that you did helps me out so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you.